This video lectures we will study the further advanced concepts of core PHP with Amazon Web Services. So, as a normal PHP developer, you may have come across a variety of images, some large, some small, some highly compressed, some highly quality. Then you may have come across some iframes, some videos, some thumbnails. So all these are stored in the Amazon S3. There is a simple storage service. So Amazon S3 is part of Amazon Web Services that helps to store your data. If it is not highly scalable, it is moderately scalable, and it requires speed. So suppose if you don't want, if you're okay with some fault tolerance or balancing issues, but you want high speed data access, so high speed IO. So S3 is the way forward to it. So suppose you are a startup or e-commerce company that has just started its roots. So what will happen is if he doesn't go for S3, he has to pay more for the EC2. Plus, he has to take care of the security measures, and many complications are there. So to avoid the complications, normally small companies like startups or medium-sized companies like you can say ThoughtWorks and other companies, they go for S3, and they periodically upgrade the S3. Plus, the advantage of S3 is that there is duplication, replication is there. So even if one image is missing, you can again upload it or use the backup. So S3, the problem is that it is not highly scalable, and it is not as secure as you can say uh, a normal AWS system. So now there are two types of queries that come to AWS S3 server. The first is the put query. So every data object in AWS is called object. So suppose I want to read a file, so it will be get object. So suppose I want to upload a file, then it is a put object. Suppose I want to delete a file, there is a delete object. So all these objects are basically nothing but files or databases or streams or pipes or FIFA files, all any types of files which are there in the file system wherever possible are objects. Plus, what is bucket? AWS has several centers across the whole world. So each center has an address, and each address has a name. So suppose I have 12 AWS servers are there across the whole world. So now each has its own identifier that is called its you can say a bucket. It is called a bucket. Each bucket has a bucket ID, and each bucket has a region and a specification. So suppose I have a bucket in Australia, then it will be AP Southeast 1. So it stands for AP hyphen Southeast hyphen 1. AP stands for access point. So where is the uh, uh, data stored? So that is access point. So access point hyphen southeast. Australia lies in the southeast, so it is access point. And after access point, it is dash 1. So it specifies the first region which is registered in the southeast domain. So now, after Australia is selected, it will ask for the key and the value. So the AWS server will ask the key and the secret. So not the value, the secret. So what is the key and what is the secret? Key and secret are alphanumeric characters that are strings of data that uniquely identify and authorize a person. But suppose now a request has come with the key, client has sent the key and the value. So what will happen is uh, in the end point it will check that if it is publicly readable. So if it is publicly readable and the key match secret matches and you can say bucket matches and it is in the access control list, so it is in the allowed list, and it is you can say you can and it has a key and a source file. The source file is there and key is a part of the file name without the extension, so that is there. So these three things are these all the parameters are there, and then you can upload images, you can delete images, you can delete objects, like that you can do. But first you need to authorize yourself. So Amazon Web Services has S3, that is simple storage service. It is not highly scalable as others, but it is good for small organizations and startups and middle-sized companies. It is available in multiple locations in the world, and every location in the world the name is unique. Suppose for Australia it will be AP for access point dash southeast for southeast location, and dash one means the first bucket. So bucket has a access control list policy. So it is sometimes read only. So you can't write to the bucket. Sometimes it is write only. So you can only write to the bucket. Sometimes it is execute only. So you can only execute code in that bucket. So after selecting the bucket, it will ask for the key and the secret. So if you give the correct alphanumeric key and the correct alphanumeric secret, it will allow you to, and if you are in the ACL, that is access control list, you can see the data, and you have a file key, name key, that is the file name without the extension, and the file name, fully qualified file name, and the metadata. Metadata is data about the data. So suppose I want to store the inode of a file, I will store it in the metadata inode. So metadata is given data about the data, and it is an array, so it can have many parameters. That was about AWS. So AWS class is in the you have to use Composer to include AWS, and as you can see it is AWS slash S3 slash S3 client. So it's the client. So now you can, this is a factory method. So this client has a factory method. In factory method, the array of credentials is there, which is key and secret, and it is the ACL access control list has a predefined set of rules like public read, public write, public execute. All these things will be there. So yeah. So now delete files is. So here first we have inserted files, deleted files, and then deleted the object. Okay, that was it for today. Thank you. Hello, today in this series of tutorials we will understand how does MySQL work in core PHP. So here I have written some points. So every database connection for MySQL in core PHP requires host name. So host name for example can be localhost. It can also be 127.0.0.1. Okay. 1 minute, just a second. So like that. The and port number is the process number on the server where the MySQL is running. So the port that is called the port number, and by default the port number of MySQL is 3306. So it requires an endpoint like suppose I have this MySQL workbench. So this if we open, see I am opening my database here. So here the connection name is Gaurav. As you can see, there is no host. No, it's a local host. So I will start the server using XAMPP. So I already installed it. I hope you have installed it as well because XAMPP will be required for starting the MySQL server. So now, yeah, you can see I have started the XAMPP control panel. Inside the XAMPP control panel, I have started the MySQL server. And see, you can see the port number is 3306. That is the default one. And it is compiled for 64-bit architecture. So this I will just copy this thing. You can see the right corner here. The server status is running. Its server is running, and it has 3% CPU load. It has connections 4, and there is some traffic. So this is about the setting up of the UI of the MySQL. So how to implement this in PHP? So PHP has a class called as PDO. So PDO stands for PHP Data Object. So it requires three parameters. First is the domain server name. Then second parameter is the username of the user, and the third is the password. The important thing to note down is the password is not directly stored because of security reasons. Since if anyone gets access to the transaction and get access to the password, he can take phishing attacks on the computer. So password is stored as a hash. So for example, one of the ways of storing a password can be suppose if my password is Gaurav. So what I will do is I will have a SHA function. So I will SHA Gaurav dot SHA Gaurav dot at at the call. So the password will be not Gaurav. So the password stored in the database will not be Gaurav. In database, the SHA-1 of Gaurav concatenated with the SHA-1 of Gaurav and this, plus some salt like at the and hash. So this is the way the password is stored in the server. So it and the same and the algorithm used to change encrypt and decrypt is AES. So the 256-bit AES cipher block chaining. I will just write it down. 256-bit advanced encryption scheme cipher block chaining. So this scheme is normally applied for storing the passwords. So and there are basically now in PDO I have to write the following factors. This is a domain name. Domain name starts with MySQL. It has a semicolon. It has a host is equal to, and this is the domain name. Domain name. Remember that domain name always starts with a MySQL, and always after MySQL there is a colon sign. After the colon sign there is a host. We specify the host. So now what I will do is I will just dsn is equal to dsn dot host name is root. So no, not root. Host name, sorry, localhost. Host name is localhost. Sorry, extremely sorry. So this is my DSL. So to make use of PDO, I require the database handler DBH database handler is equal to new PDO. Then it will be database name first. That is the MySQL colon host is equal to localhost. So I will write it down. Doctor DSN is MySQL colon host is equal to localhost. That is the first argument. The second argument is also encoded, and third argument password is encoded also. So how does the encoding work? Encoding has a in PHP there is this function like SSL sorry SSL 64 underscore encode, and it has base no, sorry encrypt sorry encrypt. So base 64 uh, encode, yeah. So whenever a client sends the request, it encrypts all of its values that it is sending using SSL. SSL stands for Secure Socket Layer, through which the data is passed. So it is, as you can see, it is 64 bit. Uh, it processes 64 bits per block. So after the you can see here, here see now, yes, since we are now ready for the MySQL, the MySQL is very simple. Once you have the PDO object, everything is done. The only thing that you have to trace is the exception handling. But before exception handling, we just need some queries. Like suppose there is a query is equal to select star from names where name like you can say a so Gaurav will be matched. So what will is it? No, where name is equal to question mark. So this is my query. So after this query, I will prepare. To prepare, I will pass the values in an array. In the array, I will pass the question mark. After passing the question mark, my setup is ready. So what I will do is I will just use the database handler. I will just write in database handler. I will call the function which will select all the data. For that, there is a built-in function in PDO. It is prepare. So prepare query and array. But default this is not a associative array. It is a indexed array. So now we assign it to the a statement. So what we will do is the next line statement dot execute. So this is the execution step. So execute this statement. So after executing the statement, you will get a result. So result contains the all the database rows we just selected. So to fetch them, we write just result dot fetch. That will fetch the first one, and the second one is result dot fetch all. That is the fetch all the rows. Similarly, you can have update query, then name. You can have insert query. You can have a delete query, like that, and many more queries. This was about the we will just revise it again. Every database connection for MySQL in core PHP requires host, that is the local host or the IP address. The second argument has to run, we have to start the control panel, RAM control panel, and have to start the server. If the MySQL server is running, it will run at 3306 default port number. So just note this down, that default port number is 3306. So there is an endpoint. So see, you can see here every database has an endpoint. Uh, there is an endpoint that you can see. We have already seen this. I will just close it and again open it. So here you can see this is the endpoint. Archival dot this and where the database resides. That is the endpoint of the database. So it has a endpoint, and username password is there, and password can be blank also. So we suppose we need to create some database server somewhere in the cloud. So we will use the PDO. The PDO stands for PHP data object. It is not a new concept, but it is fairly new to our beginners. So what it does is it creates a connection string and initiates the connection. So the connection string requires three characters. First is the prefix. Prefix is the glue between the MySQL and the core PHP. So it starts with MySQL colon host is equal to host name or IP address. So in this case, we are running on local host. So I have used 127.0.0.1, and that is the host is equal to and MySQL colon. So now what we will do is if we suppose I have a password called suppose I have a password like Gaurav. So what happens is internally what PHP does is it has a SHA-1. SHA-1 means secure hash algorithm. So it constructs a compares secure hash algorithm of Gaurav two times. And the operator is the concatenation operator, and the 32 byte uh, password is there. So here SHA-1 SHA-2 substring function is there. So this what it does is it gets the first password. It creates the SHA-1 of it. So SHA stands for secure hash algorithm. So SHA is secure algorithm. It computes two SHAs. It concatenates it. It has a substring, and it takes the first 32 bits of the 32 bytes because all the bytes are not meant to be taken. The length is constrained to only 32 bytes. So your password we are storing cannot be more than 32 bytes. Plus it sometimes has a salt also. So we mix some characters like we mix at the rate f like that. But we are not using that. So now let us see the and one more thing is that the algorithm used for storing the data end to end is AES, that is Advanced Encryption Scheme, and 256 bit AES, and cipher block chaining. So this is the uh, syntactic notation is AES 256 CVC. So this is the encryption scheme. So after using this scheme, we need you can say uh, uh, we need to execute the JDBC statements. So first is the prepare keyword. In prepare keyword, we take the yeah, here it is. We take the query with a question mark, and the second option is the array. Array is the all the question marks are it shows all the question marks. So suppose there is select star from names where name is equal to question mark. So that question mark has a value. So that is the array. So in array, suppose I had a name is equal to question mark and password is equal to question mark. Then I would have to have two arguments password. So it is just a replacement of the question mark. So after calling the prepare method, you will get a statement object. That statement object you can use to execute any the statement. So after executing the statement, I have a result object. So the result object has two many functions. First function is the fetch. The second function is the fetch all. Third function I forgot is fetch associate. So fetch associate will maintain the keys with the values. Then you can have update, insert, delete same way. In the first two, now that was it. PDO exception. So what is a PDO exception? PDO exception is the exception is thrown when a database transaction doesn't happen. So suppose I have a transaction. My M is equal to um uh, the database handler dot begin transaction. But for some reason the transaction hasn't begun. So what will happen is we have to put this in the try catch, try block in a try catch, and if a exception happens, it will be catched by the PDO exception class. So what is the use is if I write this, I will have to throw the exception. So that is one of the and before throwing we have to roll back the transaction because it will if we do not do this then it will lead the uh, uh, in unexpected result. So these are important. Rollback statement and throw statement. These are important, and you can use finally also to do the regular tasks like cleaning up the streams and any task you require. This will always. So this is the what is this is the domain database name. So that's what I was talking. MySQL colon host is equal to local. So the, what is DSN? DSN stands for database name. Database name. So database server name. So what it will do is example is it will have the type of the SQL connection. MySQL host is equal to the host name that is the whole DSN. This is a format of a DSN. It describes what the host and yeah and the port. Sorry. So this is my DSN. So now what is this SSL encrypted based German input? So whenever you send the data, whatever data after the connection has been made, and after some basic queries, suppose there is a huge image transfer query, so we can't leave it unencrypted. We have to encrypt it, and the best way to encrypt it is the SSL 64. It is highly advanced encryption system. And while at the server side, when the at the client side, it will receive. it will decrypt it. So and base 64 encoding is the encoding of large images using base 64 technology. Suppose if I want to send a large image, I will base encode it to come to for others not to read this. So here it is this function. This is the function, and this the first part is data for base 64 encode for base 64 for base 64 encode data colon image and a whole blob. It is like a blob, but it's not a blob. That is the base 64 encode. Like that, we have base 64 decode, which it gets the you can say uh, the encoded back to normal form. So open SSL 64, yeah. So now, so here you can see, here you can see